centuries from the end of the transatlantic slave trade, the African continent is putting its dark past behind, providing some of the world's most adorable tourism destinations. Welcome to Aqua Safari, one of Africa's premier leisure destinations where adventure, luxury, and nature converge. Nestled along the serene shores of the Volta River, Aqua Safari offers an unforgettable experience that blends the best of both worlds. Here, the mighty River Volta meets pristine nature, creating the perfect setting for a range of exciting outdoor activities. Whether you are navigating the gentle waters on a boat or kayaking through its vast channels, the river provides the perfect playground for thrill seekers and nature lovers alike on the African continent. The destination offers world-class hospitality with luxurious accommodations, exquisite dining options, and exceptional services that ensure every guest enjoys the perfect blend of comfort and adventure in an African shoreline. Times have changed, and Africa is not just about wars and famine. This is Africa, and this is what Africa represents in the 21st century. Here is Aqua Safari. Join me as I take you through this fantastic journey of Africa's re-emergence and fitting perfectly into a definition of one of the world's top leisure destinations. Nigerian lawyer and trade expert Legbosi Winyabo is a project coordinator of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, AfCTA, and joined me on the boat cruise across the island to speak on some of the key issues surrounding tourism in Africa. You are quite vast in terms of Africa and the trade around the continent. What do you think is one of the key issues that could boost tourism across the continent?
Yeah, basically, first is ensuring that all the African countries should sign the protocol on free movement of persons, because we still have restrictions in terms of movement. And so if we have a borderless Africa, a visa-less Africa, where we can move, I think tourism will peak, or tourism will be at its peak in terms of receiving people, in terms of transport. The second thing is about also ensuring that African countries sign onto the single African air transport market, where restrictions is also removed in terms of air transport within the aviation sector. Those barriers are also taken away so that private sector can invest in the aviation sector, and by so doing, flying across Africa can also not just being competitive, but it also be cheaper in terms of availability and access for citizens to travel around the continent. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask you about the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement much later in our interview when we get out of this boat. But again, Africa seems to have a lot of beautiful destinations unexplored.
Yeah.
But even with the ones explored, like where we are now and the island we are driving through, there seems to rather be a much more negative coverage of the continent. People talk more about wars, of famine, of starvation, of course, of corruption. Corruption is there too, but there seems to be much more global media focus on these things. How has this affected Africa as a whole? And of course, how the world relates to us and how we do business with the world?
Yeah, I think it's a two-way thing. the first part of it is that there are external factors or external forces that are also deliberate, trying to demarket Africa and then promote their own market.
Of course.
And then the second one is that Africans also don't, or we are yet to optimize the potential in the tourism sector. Like you said, maybe we'll talk about the AFCFTA later, but it is also one of the reasons why the AFCFTA have highlighted the tourism sector as one of the services sector to pay attention to, so that Africa can get the best, not only in terms of revenue, but in terms of visibility in this tourism sector. So I think those are things we should pay attention to, trying to deal with those issues that seems or tend to demarket us as Africans, and then possibly focus on the potential. But at the base of all is the issue of security.
In 2018, the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, was established, a free trade area encompassing most of Africa, making it the largest free trade area by number of member states, after the World Trade Organization, and the largest in population and geographic size, spanning 1.3 billion people across the world's second largest continent. The aim of the AfCFTA is to create a single market, increase trade, reduce poverty, and make Africa more competitive while promoting industrialization, developing regional infrastructure, and reduce barriers to capital and labor on the African continent. Right, sir, welcome to this interview.
Thank you. Thank you
So
for having me.
what are some of the advantages of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement?
Yeah, first and foremost, the AfCFTA, or the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, is geared towards establishing a single market for Africa. And so the basic idea behind that is how we can promote intra-African trade. I mean, enabling Africans to trade among themselves differently than what we currently do with other third parties. So that's the basic concept behind the AfCFTA.
So is it working so far?
Yeah, it has. It's working. I mean, trading started as far back as 2021, 2020. So a lot of stuff is going on. Market access issues, liberalization, preferences are being enjoyed. I'm sure you are also aware of what is called the Guided Trade Initiative that Nigeria also participated in April, where we have opportunities of trading with other 10 African countries at the same time. So Africans, as of today, we have about 39 countries that are already trading among themselves under that scheme. So it's working. Yeah, it's working.
But again, I understand that some countries are yet to sign their own part of the agreement, which has sort of created a bottleneck for the implementation. How has this affected the free flow of the agreement so far?
Yeah, just to put that in perspective, it is only Eritrea, out of the 55 African countries, there's only Eritrea that have not signed the AfCFTA agreement. So the other 54 have signed it.
Okay.
What is different there is you use the word domestication, that is each of these other 54 countries translating the AfCFTA into their domestic laws in order for their citizens to also benefit and then be conscious about the opportunities that AfCFTA offers. But that does not mean that there are countries that have not signed. It's only Eritrea. Yes, it's only Eritrea that have not signed, which maybe in the next 3 or 4 months, they will also join.
Has this agreement enabled Africa to trade more within themselves as compared to trading with the outside world?
Yes, that's the end result. That's what we expect at the end of the day. Yes, in terms of measuring or in terms of measurement or evaluating the trading arrangement at the moment, it is not too accurate, but the entries are now easier. You know, the rules are also clearer to the private sector, to the government negotiators and the various ministries that are in charge of trade and industry across the continent. So yes, those opportunities are there. Those potentials are there to ensure that the AFCFTA become a game changer in terms of intra-African trade. So those opportunities are there. Yeah.
So what hope does this represent for Africa as a continent generally looking forward?
Yeah, the hope that AFCFTA comes with, there are many, but primarily it's about industrialization. So AFCFTA will enable Africans to industrialize. It will enable Africans to add value to their product in terms of value addition. It will also enable Africans to be competitive in terms of the product that we produce, not just for Africans, but for the entire global trading community. So these are the opportunities, these are the hope that AFCFTA comes with. And above all, AFCFTA is also coming with the actualization of the African dreams of integrating us, of connecting African, not just the market, but also the people. So these are the hope that AFCFTA brings on board. Yeah.
Mr. Vice Lagos, it's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Lomé is the capital of Togo and the border town between the Republic of Ghana and Togo. The border town is the home of the Eves, a tribe that has lived together centuries before the advent of slavery and colonialism, which brought a huge border between them. But these borders have not prevented these people from living together. At the beach shoreline in Lomé, ambitious African kids cross from Ghana into Togo every day to play football together, unbothered by the giant borders separating them.
J'aime Emmanuel chez Adebayo, c'est mon joueur préféré. Quand je vois quand je vois le jouer sur le ballon, j'ai envie de jouer. C'est mon idole, c'est Emmanuel chez Adebayo. Merci.
Beatrice Atta, originally a Ghanaian from the Volta region, has operated a roadside restaurant in Lomé, Togo for 30 years, crossing daily from Ghana to Togo. Her daily life is a story that represents a borderless connectivity within Africa.
I'm a Ghanaian. I'm from a Volta region, where Togo and where we speak the same language, one language.
While the borders remain a great hindrance to seamless connectivity between Africans, every day these ordinary Africans are making efforts to connect more. But Adegoke Morgan, a young Nigerian with a thriving business in Togo, Ghana and Nigeria, thinks Africa has to do more to connect.
It is a bit tedious, and also it depends on which country you are going to. From Nigeria to, let's say, Ghana is okay, but some other countries where you are going to, it's very difficult. Yeah, to acquire resident permit in Togo is difficult because you need police report from your home country, you need a court in Togo to attestate you are in Togo, you need a lot of requirements in Togo, and it costs 200,000 CFA to acquire a resident permit in Togo for 1 year. In Ghana, it is $625 per year. But also, you also need to do your non-citizen ID card. For first timer is $120. That's in Ghana. I think our leaders should come together and put their differences aside for the unity of Africa, and to also think more about African people than themselves. That will help Africa a lot. For instance, let's say ECOWAS. There are some things that is produced in Nigeria that can benefit the whole of West Africa. Let's say Senegal. There are some things that is in Senegal that can benefit the whole of Africa. But we still have some African countries within Africa that we can't allow free movement of goods, which is very bad. In Senegal, you don't need resident permits. They abolished it some years ago, like 5 years ago. But in Ghana, you need resident permits. In Togo, you need resident permit. In Benin, you need resident permit. So let's say, for instance, I want to have a business in the West African or ECOWAS countries. I have to have resident permit in all those countries, which also affects your capital in doing business in that country, because it's a lot of money. For a young businessman from, let's say, any other African country, if they're asking for $500, that's a good sum of money. In Yoruba, we speak the same language from Nigeria up to Ivory Coast. There are some group of people they are from Ejigbo in the southwest of Nigeria who migrated to Ivory Coast, and they speak Yoruba. Also in Togo, there are some Yorubas that migrated there, they speak Yoruba. I also learned recently there are some people in Nigeria that speak Ewe, and Ewe is spoken in Ivory Coast, in Ghana, in Togo, in Benin. Now there are some people in Nigeria that speak Ewe. The same thing in Burkina Faso, Ghana. There are some people that speak the same language in Burkina Faso and in Ghana, but it's the border separating them. And also people, they live within Togo, Burkina Faso and Ghana, but they have different borders. Remove the borders and remove resident permit for West African citizens so we can be free to do businesses in all these countries.